Hey everyone, and welcome back to Practically Zero Waste, a podcast for making zero waste living as practical as possible. I'm your host, Elspeth Callahan, and today is Earth Day. Amazing! Well, let's all celebrate Earth with a handful of habits that I have retained from my zero waste experience, my zero waste journey, and I will walk you through kind of all of the different things that I still do, zero waste habits that I still do. Even after 4 years of being part of the zero waste world and on this sustainability journey, even after expanding my horizons and realizing that it's so much more than the plastic packaging that we're dealing with here in this world, and how we can incorporate intersectional environmentalism and social justice into everything that we're doing. All of that included, we're going to be talking today about some zero waste habits that I still do. Let's go. For years and years and years, let's say 4 years, I've been practicing a zero waste lifestyle. I have been trying to incorporate all kinds of different changes incrementally into my daily experience or my weekly experience so that every time I'm adding a new habit, I'm not taking on too much at once. This way I'm able to add one thing at a time, and that is definitely something different than what I started with when I know I talk about this on the podcast all the time, but that idea that you have to throw out everything that's plastic in your life, or you can never have anything that has any plastic on it because you're a zero waste person now. And when you're starting out with a new life change, a new lifestyle, like minimalism, like veganism, like zero waste, it is so hard to be like, everything has to change overnight. How am I going to do this? And so over the years, I have gone through different waves of either being really, really excited about zero waste, about changing all of these different things and making those changes happen overnight and being really committed. And then I've also gone through waves of I just can't, and that's okay, and I can change things one at a time, which is, I think, a little bit smarter, and not overwhelm myself. So from the earliest days of zero waste, on your zero waste journey, often you're going to hear about reusables as being the main thing, and they still are, which is great because they are so simple to implement. I love all of the different reusables that I'm still using and the way that they really simplify things as far as being lower waste goes. I have a handful of things that I kind of thought about and realized that I'm still using on a regular basis. One, my water bottle. I am never without it. I pretty much don't even use a regular cup in my house. I just use my water bottle all the time because then I always know where it is when I have to leave the house. Reusable grocery bags. That is part of the standard zero waste kit that you start with at the beginning. Introducing cloth bags or any sort of reusable tote bag for your groceries, for any time you're leaving the house or going shopping. Still use those on a regular basis. Other things that I've been reusing for a really long time are cloth handkerchiefs, cloth diapers, cloth wipes. The diapers aren't for me, obviously, they're for my kid. Dishcloths and rags, pretty much anything that was a disposable paper product, including toilet paper, I now use as reusables. They're great, and I use all kinds of different products that are just super simple things that I get to use over and over again. It does mean that I do laundry more frequently. That is currently my trade-off. I do have my own laundry machine, and so that is, again, a privilege. I think that it's still doable, but I know that that is maybe not as many people's priority. The best thing to do would be to prioritize all of your other kinds of reusables, like a reusable water bottle, cutlery, containers if you're bringing your own lunch, or if you're leaving the house and want to bring a container in case you go out for some food. The reusable grocery bags, they're all super straightforward ways for reducing your waste that are reusable and don't require as much laundry. In the waste reduction realm, there's all kinds of different things, but the main ones that stand out to me on a regular basis are the fact that we still compost. We were able to create a compost pile in our backyard. We built a structure to go around it, and that makes such a huge difference in a lot of people's trash. To be able to reduce their food waste that's going to landfill, composting has been an ongoing amazing thing. Another one that I do is try as much as possible to prevent food waste, which I find really hard with a toddler, but at the same time, we're working on it, and it's been, as far as toddlers go, a matter of giving smaller portions to see what he eats and then giving more if he wants it. But yeah, for the most part, I know that there's areas that I can control and areas that I can't. And so when it comes to eating leftovers in the fridge, trying to prioritize eating leftovers for lunch or for supper one night and having that as my lunch that I'm bringing the next day to work is so important, rather than just reaching for like the loaf of bread on the counter or for some snacks in the cupboard. Like things like that prevent me a lot of times from finishing off the leftovers that are in the fridge. And so trying to prioritize leftovers has been something that I have ongoing tried to do in order to prevent throwing out food that is perfectly good. Even though I have a compost, I could still be eating it. Another thing for the waste reduction category has been making some foods from scratch. That I know is a privilege of time and also interest level. I definitely don't always have the time, but I really have the interest level in reducing my waste in ways like that. Some of the things that I make from scratch on a fairly regular basis are pizza dough, tortillas, bread products like tea biscuits or muffins or bread, all those kinds of things I'm trying to make from scratch more often. If I have the energy, which isn't always, and if I have the time, then I will bake our own bread. And it's not amazing, but it is cheaper and I'm incredibly frugal. Some other foods that we make from scratch are barbecue sauce, and if I have a salad dressing in mind that I want, then I will make that from scratch. Lots of things like juice we'll make from scratch. If I have a fruity tea or something like that, then we'll steep that, and then that, for my son mostly, if I want juice for him, then I'm making it at home and we're just squeezing some fruit or making a syrup from the fruit scraps if I have strawberries or something like that in the summertime. So all of those different things come from just that mindset that I can make something myself, and that will help reduce the waste and will help save us a little bit of money as well. Another thing that we keep doing is fixing things. For example, the waffle maker. Someone gave us a waffle maker as a wedding gift 4 years ago. Today, exactly, actually, because today's our anniversary. The waffle maker was sitting on the counter. My toddler was gently playing with it. We're all like, oh, that's so sweet. And then he chucked it off the counter. And part of the plastic hinge that's on it broke. I have this crazy industrial glue that I use to fix pretty much everything around here, and I used it to fix the waffle maker, and it works again, which is so exciting because otherwise maybe a past life me would have thrown the whole thing away. But what do you do with a whole waffle maker? I can't imagine. Other things that I mend are pairs of jeans if they've ripped through the knee, or I darn socks, and all of these different skills that I've learned over the past few years because I know that I can stretch something a little bit longer. And that's not just my frugal mentality, but that is partially where my sustainability realm comes from, or my drive to be sustainable comes from. Saving water has been something that I have explored more in recent months, trying to make sure that that's something that I'm prioritizing. Something that we do is use rain barrels to save water in the summer. All of that water goes out on our gardens. You're just letting your water run to allow it to come to temperature. I put the kettle underneath the tap and just fill the kettle so that that water isn't just going down the drain. Super small things that feel like they don't add up, but they really do. And that is the entire mindset of zero waste living, is that you have to do these small things because you can't do the big things all the time because you will burn out. You have to do the quiet revolution, the revolutions that is always at home and starting with you. You have to keep those things going. So how can you sustain things if they're not constant and small and steady? So those small ways of saving water add up. Same with saving electricity, turning off the lights when you leave the house. It's so basic sometimes and so rudimentary, but really, really important to do those small things on a regular basis and have them remain as part of your zero waste lifestyle, even however many years into the movement you are. Other ways to reduce your impact while shopping that we have still continued to do is shopping secondhand or swapping and trading for different items that you need. And even before we get to that point, just trying to reconsider if you actually need it. One of the best ways to go go zero waste right away and produce it. No waste is to buy nothing. If you want to reduce your impact on the planet, being able to consume less is the cheapest and easiest first step to start, and everybody can participate in that. One final thing that I like to do as a zero waste habit that I still do is repurposing what we have rather than buying new or even buying secondhand. It's kind of like a lateral thinking game where I get to think about how I wanted to build a trellis for my garden, and there happened to be in my garage, it's like an old hammock frame, and so I have repurposed parts of that old hammock frame to use as a garden trellis for plants like beans and peas and things that climb. Even repurposing things like leftovers or ingredients in your fridge has been something that I've been trying to do as well, and still do. For example, we were making an Alfredo sauce from scratch, how fancy, and I didn't have a heavy whipping cream. I had sour cream. I googled it. Apparently that's a thing that you can make sour cream into Alfredo sauce, and it was delicious. So repurposing things that you have can come in all kinds of different forms, but this lateral thinking, this creative way of approaching issues, if you're looking for something and can't find the exact thing that you need, approach it from a different perspective and think, what do I have already that would work? Or do I know somebody who has something that they're not using? Or can I ask online for something for free? And trying to reduce that consumption of new things, trying to increase our use of things that already exist. I think that has been really helpful in reducing our impact over the past few years as well. I briefly mentioned the garden, and you've possibly seen our mediocre garden in our backyard as well. Growing our own food has also been really super satisfying for me as far as my interests go. I love gardening, but then also it's been able to help us reduce our food consumption in the summertime slightly. I'm not an amazing gardener, so I don't have an excessive amount of produce that comes out of the garden, but it does help us to reduce our grocery bill in the summertime. And also I like to think it's offsetting my carbon footprint by drawing down carbon into our backyard through all of the plants that we're growing. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I love sharing all of these different habits that we've retained over the years, or that I've retained over the years, even when it feels like, it's Earth Day and I didn't really do anything. But like all of these things, again, like I've said, have to be done incrementally over time and ongoing. And if I can't sustain that, if I can't keep it up because I've burnt out, then I'm not much of an activist and I'm not much use to the world. I would like to rather continuously keep up all of my small habits over and over again and add more habits as I go along, stack them on top of each other and become more and more productive. But I don't want to burn out and become useless. So please, if you're of the same mindset, then go ahead and follow along with the podcast to learn more of these different ways that you can make differences in your life. Random Acts of Green, it's a great app for really having a list of all the different ways that you can make an impact, or all kinds of suggestions for how to make an impact, and you get points for logging those green actions. And so it's really helpful to motivate yourself and also just have that list of information in front of you, because sometimes it's hard to think of where can I start without feeling too overwhelmed. If you'd like to see more videos, you can hit subscribe and like this video and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see something more like this. Otherwise, this episode will also be live on the podcast this Sunday, and you'll be able to access the audio from it there. That's all from me this week. If you want to support the show, you can always go to coffee.com/ElspethCallahan and buy me a virtual cup of coffee. You can leave a rating or review over at Apple Podcasts. You can send me an email to practicallyzerowaste@gmail.com or message me on Instagram at practicallyzerowastepod. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a wonderful Earth Week, that you're doing lovely things for the planet, and that you're taking care of yourselves. Have a great week, everyone, and talk to you soon.